Okay, I have 4 o'clock. I would like to call this meeting to order. Our first item will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, did you turn it on?
I did. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could have a moment of silence. Thank you. Anybody for public comment? No? Discuss and approve minutes from last week's meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from the meeting of Thursday, February 27th.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Darlene, yes? Yes.
Yes.
Greg McKelvey, yes.
And I'm a yes. Nobody from the select board, nobody from the school committee. So we will continue with old business and discuss the warrant articles we've placed on hold. DPW wanted to go first. Wayne?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, if you could ask people, when they speak into the mics, if they're voting, to speak their names first for the new recording secretary, and whoever comes to the table, if they would introduce themselves and give their full name and their position or information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine
Aye.
Laurent, DPW Director,
Thank you for coming.
of course.
So what questions do we have for Catherine? The snow and ice article, will there be a dollar amount for that?
Yes, we're finalizing payments this week, so we will have a dollar amount by the end of the day tomorrow.
Excellent.
Madam Chair, do you need this, that I produce something to, it tells the article that they're working?
No, I'm good, thank you. The previous Article 8, I don't know if that has changed. For the road improvement projects,
Article 10, which is, it's now Article 10, and
Okay.
that's the, chapter 9.
The Chapter 90. So this is an article that we put on each year in case we don't receive reimbursement from the state prior to the town having to close its books for the fiscal year. We've never had this issue, so I think there has been articles to rescind these authorizations, but it really is only to protect the town if we don't receive that reimbursement from the state in time.
So it's a just in case.
Correct.
All right, all right.
Do you have an estimate or know when you might have an estimate on what that dollar amount is going to be?
I believe the town just received the amount, the appropriation from the state this past week.
Madam Chair, it is in your new, draft 3, Article 10. Does that the-
It's 59,500, yeah.
so $976,262. Okay.
Okay.
But you do expect that it'll be,
Yeah.
So it's a reimbursement program, so as we do certain types of road work, we submit for reimbursement. And again, it's only if we don't receive that reimbursement before the town closes the books for the fiscal year, which
Okay.
has never happened.
okay, great. Any further questions on that article? No, thank you. And
Dick Weiner, what's the 59,500 for?
I think you're looking at the wrong article.
Yeah.
We're looking at Article 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here. Says
Are you in the new?
Are you in the new draft or last week's draft?
Draft 3.
Reading special.
Not the special, it's the regular.
Oh, maybe that's.
Page
what I'm-
17.
Yeah, that's, I was in the wrong guy. My error, sorry.
No worries.
Okay, and the next one, the full-time position. Can you just tell us about the need for that?
Sure. So under DPW, we're responsible for all of the town's buildings, including the 3 schools. So we have a custodial staff that cleans the buildings on a second shift position. So they are entitled to, time off, whether it's vacation, personal time, or sick leave. And in their absence, we do try to hire substitute custodians, but we have not, in recent years, been very successful in having those positions filled. It is a no guarantee of hours at $22 an hour rate. So what we're finding is we either aren't getting the coverage, or we're having to pull some of our maintenance staff to work on an overtime basis to help with the coverage. So just as an example, this past fiscal year, just in overtime costs, we paid over $10,000 in overtime for that coverage, and that wasn't even providing all of the staffing that was required. And to give you an example, at the middle high school, we have 4 second shift custodians. Based on the size of the school, each of them are responsible for cleaning 45,000 square feet.
Wow.
At the Quashnet School, there are 3, and they're responsible for cleaning about 44,000 square feet. At the Casey Coombs School, we have 2. They're responsible for 41,000 each. And then we have the town buildings, where we have 3 custodial staff that travels between the 7 town buildings, and they're responsible for cleaning about 28,000 square feet a night. So being absent a position, for a day, for a few days, creates an issue with being able to maintain the level of cleanliness that is required, particularly in the schools. In addition, in the summer, we do hire temporary summer custodians, is what we call the position. They help with the more intensive cleaning that we do in the schools over the summer months. So we do budget for that at a cost of, let me get that, about $8,000 per position. So we would be reducing, if this position were funded, we would reduce that amount as well from the budget.
So Greg McKelvey here. So you would say, because some people voiced some concerns about whether there's enough work for a full-time person every day. Would they be doing if someone is out, they'll still come in and they'll still
Correct.
work somewhere, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So they would essentially float as needed between the 3 schools and the town buildings. So, certainly to cover an absence, but if for some reason we were fully staffed on a particular evening, then they would help with more detailed cleaning, which we don't have the opportunity to do
Right.
now.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions about that article? And was that it for DPW?
Was according to what you gave us.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Jeff Penny, does the upgrade of the part-time plumbing and gas fall under you?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we'll just take the rest in order.
So that would be the building inspector would be next.
Yes, please.
Hello, Madam Chairman,
Hello.
members of the board. I am David Morris. I'm the building commissioner for Mashpee. I just want to start out real quick and start out with, I'm here for two articles. I believe that one's Article 19, the other one's Article 23, which I have put in to withdraw that article in favor. So the planning board, it dealt with the minimum size of a ADU, but the planning board has taken that and they are submitting their own proposal on that, so I withdraw that to avoid a duplication of it.
That's Article 21,
Well, no.
That is Article 23, I believe,
23.
on there. And the planning board will be coming in with an Article 24, which will deal with the same subject.
So our Article 23 is the part-time plumbing gas position.
Oh, is it? All right, so is it Article 19?
Figure that
then?
out. Hang on,
I'm
give us just a
sorry.
second.
23 is the building inspector. They have already withdrawn that, David, so it's not on there.
Got it.
Oh,
Got it.
sorry, okay.
Article
I just wanted to make that clear,
Yeah.
okay? So I would say we're here for the article for the plumbing.
Right.
Full-time plumbing inspector, okay?
Yes.
Yep. And that would be our Article 23.
New article.
Okay, thank you very much. It changed on me
It's a little
quick.
dicey sometimes.
so it's Article 23 is going to be withdrawn.
Article 23 is about the new position.
So can you just tell us about the need for that position?
Well, the need is the sewer line coming in requires every house to hook up to sewer to be inspected by a plumbing inspector. They are done in the afternoon, and the current plumbing inspector is part-time. He only works in the mornings 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, so there's going to be an extra load every day in the afternoon, and the best way to cover this without a to cover the increase in demand is to put him full-time. And it's certainly going to be for at least the next 3 or 4 years before we would reevaluate until this project is completed.
Will your present part-timer then become a full-timer, or will you have to hire a new person to be full-time?
He will be, that's my understanding, that he will be the new full-time position. We're not really looking to hire anybody at this time,
Thank you.
other than like an alternate or something.
So my question is the part-time position currently in the budget?
Yes.
So, because what I'm looking at here is the amount requested. I think I may have answered it because it's including the health share, because it looked like a very high amount that was being requested, almost like it was a full-time position that you were asking for. But taking out the amount that's in there for the Medicare, medical insurance, which would be offered to a full-time employee, that cuts the amount of this, like the salary increase down for me. So that makes more sense. The number at first looked like it was asking for a full-time position, to fund a full-time position outright, but when you take out the amount for the insurance, which need to be paid for a full-time employee, the total amount actually makes sense to me now, so I'm good with that.
And the only thing I was going to add, sir, is we have to go on the premise that if that article failed, we've got to have the funds to cover the part-time. But obviously, if the article passes, then those funds for the part-time will be reduced in the future.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
So Greg McKelvey, so you're taking this to basically the full-time, 40 hours a week on that, and you said he works right now just in the morning, 4 or 5 days a week, I forget.
He's a 19 hours a week.
Okay, so you're estimating, more than likely, because of the connections with the gas and so forth with the new sewer project, the plumbing with the new sewer project, you're gonna need that extra help. You're gonna need someone like all the time, because people are gonna be hooking up and checking
Correct.
their lines, right?
Correct.
All right, I'm good with that.
That's for what, a 2-year period of time?
I believe it's a 3-year period at this time, but there's going to be another phase added
And then
to.
drop back to a part-time position after that?
That's possible, yeah, we're looking at that possibility at that time, sure.
Any further questions? Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
COA is next, please.
Which article is that?
Good afternoon. Heidi McLaughlin, Council on Aging Director.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good day.
Good day.
Okay, so you're upgrading a part-time activity coordinator position to a full-time?
Yes, that is the request.
And can you tell us just a little bit of why you need that?
Sure. The 60-plus population has increased to 46%. It's been a 30% increase since 2018. We're seeing about 1,600 regular people coming in our center throughout the year. 28,000 coming. We use Mashpee, a swipe-in system, so we have almost 30,000 people coming to programs at the center throughout the year. So it's a significant increase. We've added probably a little under 200 programs since I started. Capacity is at a maximum at the senior center, and people keep requesting more programs. So the demands of the job can't be done in 19 hours. Our activity coordinator, he has been putting in actually more hours than the 19 because he really enjoys the job, but it really does require full-time. I took a survey of the Cape Cod towns, and 11 of the other towns on the Cape have full-time activity coordinators. So the Cape is a senior destination place and retirement community, and it's going to continue to increase and trend that way. So
Being an active member of the senior center, I understand all the new programs I've seen just in the past 2 years since you hired your activity coordinator, so I understand the need. Thank you.
yes, thank you.
I'm also in there quite regularly as well, and they're always busy, and more than they can do usually as well with most of the programs. So it'd be nice to have a new coordinator full-time there.
Good. I think before COVID, there was a lot more volunteers present, volunteering their time, and since then, people are a little more hesitant to volunteer. So we've seen a decrease, probably half. So a lot of the slack was picked up before by volunteers.
And will your part-time person become the full-time, or you'll?
Yes.
Yes, that's good.
Yes.
Any further questions on this? Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Richard DeSorbo will be next, and it's Article 28 in your books. I'm not sure if you have the actual article.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pardon me?
My name is Richard DeSorger, 65 Shields Road, and I'm a member of the Mashpee Historical Commission. What I'd like to do is just give you a definition of what this article is about. I put it in the form of 6 questions that hopefully will answer questions that you have. So first of all, the first question is, what is a demolition delay bylaw? A demolition delay bylaw can be a very effective tool in helping to protect historically significant resources here in Mashpee. While a demolition bylaw alone cannot prevent demolitions indefinitely, the opportunity of delaying the demolition of a significant resource can often have a positive outcome. Generally, in a town with a demolition bylaw, the property owner requesting a demolition permit from the building department must first receive approval from the Historical Commission. If the Historical Commission determines that the building is preferably preferred, a pause is imposed. The pause provides a window of opportunity to consider other alternatives to the demolition of an historic building. There are many success stories throughout Massachusetts where a better solution was found. Nevertheless, after the delay period has expired, the building inspector can sign a demolition permit and demolition can proceed. A demolition bylaw cannot indefinitely prevent a demolition from occurring. Again, it's a pause. It provides a window of opportunity to pause to discuss possible preservation solutions for historic properties threatened with demolition. The Mashpee Historical Commission would be responsible for ensuring that when possible and within reason, with respect to the rights of the property owners, every attempt is made to preserve properties that are considered historically significant in demonstrating the unique and special historical character that is Mashpee. Second question, why is this necessary for Mashpee? Well, unlike all the surrounding towns, Mashpee was a Wampanoag community. We did not have the early English homes that still stand in neighboring towns dating from the 1700s. Wampanoags lived close to the coast in weed-chews in the summer and then moved inland in colder winter. There are only a couple of houses here in town that actually date to the 1700s. Most of the housing stock and public buildings first began to take shape in the 1800s. And sadly, we have lost most of them to demolition. There is a limited number of houses here in Mashpee that are more than 100 years old. Once they are gone, we will have no history of our community left. When I first moved to Mashpee, Earl Mills said to me that there was very little to show that Mashpee was a Wampanoag community. We have a very special and unique history, unlike any other in Massachusetts. This bylaw is an attempt to try to slow down the outright elimination of that special history. Third question, who already has a demolition delay bylaw? There are 160 towns in Massachusetts that have that. Here on the Cape, the towns of Falmouth, Provincetown, Truro, Wellfleet, Eastham, Chatham, Orleans, Harwich, Dennis, Yarmouth, and Barnstable all have a demolition delay bylaw. 4, how is this thing going to work? First, a developer looking to demolish a house applies for a demolition permit from the building inspector. Then, the building inspector, determining that the house may be under this bylaw, would send a copy of the permit to the chair of the Historical Commission. Then, the commission would give public notice of a hearing, place an announcement in the local paper, send a copy of the notice to all abutters, to the owner, to owners of property deemed by the commission to also be affected by the proposed demolition, to the Mashpee Historic District Commission, and to the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council Chair. Then, if, after the hearing, the commission determines that the structure is not historically significant, the commission will notify the building inspector, who would then issue a demolition permit. If the commission determines that the building is historically significant, then that demolition would be, and that the demolition would be detrimental to the town, it would then be declared preferably preserved structure, and an up to an 18-month delay would take place. No demolition permit would be able to be issued during that time. The commission would then work with the developer to try to preserve that historic structure. Then, if the commission finds there is no reasonable likelihood that the owner or others are willing to purchase, preserve, rehabilitate, or restore the structure, or if the commission is satisfied that for at least 6 months, the owner has made continued and reasonably good faith efforts to locate a purchaser to preserve, rehabilitate, and restore the structure, and that such efforts have been unsuccessful, then the permit to demolition will be issued. 5th, who in Mashpee will be impacted? 99% of everyone at town meeting would not be impacted by this bylaw, as their home is not more than 100 years old. But 100% of everyone at town meeting would be impacted because we all live in Mashpee, and the character, the history, and the appearance of this town affects all of us. Now, this really is a very conservative bylaw that does not prevent anyone from doing anything. It simply puts a pause to try to preserve a piece of our history and character. We are responsible people on the Historical Commission and would work with a developer or owner to reasonably try to find a way to preserve a house so that its history and character is saved, while at the same time enabling the developer to complete his or her project. If the developer doesn't want to work with us, then he or she can simply wait out the delay and go ahead with a demolition. If the developer feels we're unreasonable, there is an appeal process built in, where the issue would then go to the select board, who, after listening to both sides, could overrule our decision and permit the demolition. Now, there are many towns with this bylaw that just consider houses case by case, no matter their age. Most of the towns with a bylaw have a 25-year age limit of the house. Others have a 50. I believe we are the most conservative bylaw of any town in the state by having a 100-year-old stipulation. And finally, why is this important? Back in 1978, the Historical Commission listed as one of its goals to establish a demolition delay bylaw. Sadly, they never brought it forward. If they had, many of the historical structures that once graced Mashpee would probably still be here. We are beginning this now because over the past 2 years, we have seen 2 historically significant buildings that were an important part of Mashpee's history demolished. I gave you pictures of 2 of them. The first picture you see is the Bourne Jones Bessie Farm, and the second one is the Conant House, also known as the Arlington House. Both were just recently demolished. As the Historical Commission, we had no knowledge that they were going to be demolished. We had no knowledge that they were demolished until we rode by them and saw that they were gone. The Bourne Jones Bessie House was originally actually part of the land of Richard Bourne, the missionary benefactor of the Native Americans back in the 1600s. The dwelling house dated to the 1700s, passing into the Jones family in 1833, and then to the Bessie family when the property was divided among the Bessie children in 1933. Its recent demolition removes that historic piece of Mashpee. The second house you see there is the Arlington House, which dates to the mid-1800s. It was sold in 1888 to Jesse Bacon and George Wynn, who opened up the Arlington House to guests, joining the Hotel Adequan as places for people to stay here in Mashpee. And we actually have the register from that Arlington House so named because the Wynns were originally from Arlington, and it's in the rough shape, but its actual register, and you can see it was signed by all the people that came and were guests, and they were from all over Massachusetts, all over the Cape, and it was here and in the Hotel Adequan that the people had a place to stay. So that's the actual register that was in the Arlington House. So again, without our knowledge, those houses were demolished. And if you look at the last picture, you can see what took the place of the Arlington House, a McMansion that was built. And this is right across from Heritage Park. Another of the few remaining pieces of Mashpee history is now gone. The Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council also voted to support this article, as they, perhaps more than anyone else, have seen the slow destruction and loss of a lot of our history. So that's the purpose for the article.
Thank you. Any questions?
Richard, Greg McKelvey. A lot of work, great presentation.
Thank you.
Couple quick questions. This was submitted by the Historical Commission.
Correct.
Was that submitted unanimously?
Correct, it
Thank you.
was.
And how many 100-year-old houses are left in Mashpee, to your estimation?
There's probably under 20.
Under 20. And I like the fact that you're generous with the time frame. 100 years, I think, is a generous time frame.
Part of the reason is because of our history, most of the development doesn't take place in Mashpee till recently, really. It started in the 60s.
Right.
So the bulk of our housing stock is new. So we're looking at those houses that still are important to Mashpee's history, and as we looked at them, most of them are at least 100 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't see a reason we had to make it newer than that.
I'm just curious about something else. If there was a home or houses being built somewhere and they ran into some artifacts from the past, would the state step in and check on that? The archaeological groups of the state check in on something like that before it went forward? I'm just curious. I don't know how often that happens either.
This bylaw will not cover that, but there are state laws, so if anyone is doing any building and they come across any artifacts, they are by law supposed to report that to the state, and the state would send out state archaeologists that would either verify or look at that. Unfortunately, what happens, because the developer knows that will hold up, a lot of times they just, mow it over. But they're risking heavy penalties and fines if they do that.
All right. Thank you.
Question. How is it that if I owned one of those houses and I decide, we can't live here anymore, whatever, we put it up for sale, what prevents us from selling it to anybody?
Nothing.
So do you?
Only if you demolish it.
Well, and let's say they were going to demolish it. I mean, I'm just,
Okay, they would then have to go through the process of this bylaw, as I just explained.
okay.
And if somebody did sell the house, as Darlene just said, and a new person buys it and decides they want to demolish it, do they find out ahead of time? Is there any way that they can find out ahead of time that this law is in effect and that therefore they can't demolish it? Would a
Well,
realtor?
it would be like any other bylaw or law. The building inspector, of course, would be the first person. If somebody buys a house, and they should take those steps to consult what the town bylaws are.
Okay.
Well, does the town, all right, is the town going to proactively realize that XYZ house that is 100 years old is on the market and notify folks, or at least tell the seller that they have to notify the potential buyers?
I think we'll try to publicize it as much as possible, and so that everybody knows what the bylaw is. If you go to town meeting, of course, we'll discuss this, and they would know that. The
But
building.
not everybody goes there, and not everybody is full-time to
Yeah.
get that information up.
I'm just trying to think whether we can make sure that all the realtors know that, and then again, the realtor may or may not want to tell the person that. We can do the best we can to try to advertise and let the public, know what the bylaw is. But I think it would be like any other zoning law or bylaw that the town has, that we do the best we can to try to make sure people know what those laws are.
Well, and you would hope that any buyer intending on demolishing would do their due diligence.
Well, you'd think that the real estate agent has to
Well,
disclose that information, I'd imagine.
The issue doesn't come up with the buying and selling, it's when the demolition.
Right.
Anybody demolishing has to
Right.
go to the building inspector to file for a permit.
Correct.
That's when this law will kick in.
Right, okay.
So the buying and selling is irrelevant.
Well,
It's when-
if you
it's
were
when-
buying it with the intent to demolish,
And didn't know.
Then,
probably would research that a little.
then if I was doing that, then I would have to do my research to
Yes.
find out whether there is such a law. But then again, there are unscrupulous people that could do it without filing the laws, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
This would be a bylaw for those people playing by the rules.
Well, if you got to go into town hall and get a permit,
Right, but,
the building department's going to know.
right, but.
Immediately, and someone's gonna be disappointed.
But there could be people that would do the demolition without getting
I
the
was
permit.
just gonna, I was
That's
just gonna
true.
say that. You're gonna drive by a house and the house was there yesterday and today it's not there. Oops, I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to do that.
So,
Interesting.
this will at least help us with people that are following the rules.
Yes.
I have a question. Looking like this first house that you showed us a picture of here, a place like this probably has, if somebody wanted to occupy it, I mean, the building itself, the plumbing, the electrical work is probably way past code, and it would probably not be habitable. Somebody could not just move into a house like that in here, I would imagine. And so what ends up happening then? It probably just sits in stagnant? I mean, you can't occupy the building, so it's just become vacant, and it would just collapse on its own free will eventually.
You mean if they wanted to demolish it?
No, they didn't want to demolish it, they want to occupy it. Somebody, say I wanted to buy this house, okay, and move in. Obviously, the building inspector would look at the building, and not structurally, would not be viable. The plumbing inspector would look at the building, it's not viable. The electrical inspector would look at it, not viable. What now happens? The building just becomes vacant and just...
Richard, this
sits-
article is just about if they want to demolish
I
it,
know,
not if they want to live
I'm
in
just
it.
wondering, the next step on, what would happen?
I imagine they would get permission to, I think someone would want to remodel that. That's what I would think.
My God, remodeling this?
Well, if it was like condemned by the Board of Health or something, or condemned, then it certainly would come through here, and certainly if it was in that condition, the commission would agree to have it demolished. You know, if it was going, if it's, as you say, so bad it was gonna fall down and, you know, be a hazard or something, we certainly don't want that to happen. Our intent is trying to preserve those buildings that do have historic significance in the town and, you know, can withstand, you know.
100-year-old buildings tend to be in the state sometimes like this one is. It's becomes...
We don't, unfortunately, we don't have many left.
All right. And these buildings, both of them have been demolished.
They're gone,
They're gone, so.
and the fact the Historical Commission never even knew it.
And how many do you think we still have? How many do you think we still have in Mashpee?
We don't have the exact number, we're probably in the neighborhood of about 20, 25.
Oh, that's not a lot.
No.
Any further questions?
Pretty clear.
You were very thorough. Thank you
Oh.
for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, if, is the War Memorial and the ancient burial grounds also coming up?
No, we have already taken
Did clear that,
action on
okay.
those.
We're good, yeah. We're good then.
Oh, you have? Okay.
We did. We voted to recommend both.
Oh, we did, great,
We
okay.
did.
All right, thank you very much.
Good.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
So our last one is old Article 27.
Wendy, do you want to come up and have a seat? Explain to us your bylaw? Oh, sure.
Was this number 29? Huh?
This is the last one. It's actually number 30, Richard.
Number 30.
Yeah, number 30.
When I give my talks for my books, I always have a visual aid. This is my visual aid for right now. I'm sure you all are very familiar with this. This is one of the 4 freedoms that America enjoys.
Yeah.
And it ran in the May magazine covers in 1943, the 4 freedoms that FDR talked about and that Norman Rockwell illustrated for
Yeah,
us.
right, yeah.
I'm sure you've all seen this, right?
Yep.
This is very familiar to you.
Yep.
This is famous art, meaningful art, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. I don't know where I should put this. Is that a good place? I'll just put it there. So, what I'm here to talk to you about is the importance and the value of the public's right to speak. And first of all, I want to thank you all for having at the top of your meeting public comment. This is something that is a tradition. This is something that we've always done, but right now it's not happening. So I have a little speech to give you because that's what I do. If it's boring, I'm sorry. Many people in this country today mistakenly believe that the battles going on in Washington are between Democrats and Republicans. That isn't the case. The battle is between authoritarianism and respect for the individual. This is not a new battle. It was waged 100 years ago when Calvin Coolidge shrugged his shoulders at poverty and helplessness. This past summer, I visited with my husband Coolidge's homestead in Vermont. Wow. If you haven't been there, go tomorrow. It was such an instructive day. Life in Coolidge's Vermont a century ago was tough. Only the strongest survived, literally. About half the kids in Vermont and in the United States died before the age of 5 a century ago. You may not remember this. Antibiotics had yet to be invented. Coolidge was a strong, tough, honest man who milked his father's cows in -10 degrees during a Vermont winter when he was just a child. He had to do this because he had no choice. The family would have starved and died if he had not done his job. His worldview was shaped by those hardships and by the hardship of his own child dying when he was in the White House. Because while playing tennis in the White House tennis courts, the son developed a blister which became septic and which killed him. He died from the infection developed while he was playing tennis. Imagine that. Yet Coolidge girded his loins and kept on working. This is how it was in those days. And Coolidge believed in the strength of the individual. He did not believe in authoritarianism, and he also didn't believe that the government should intervene in the lives of individual people. But a lot has changed since Coolidge's day. I like Calvin. But today we live in a different world. His child would not have died from a blister, thank you, federal government. So what does this have to do with the right of public comment? Why am I telling you this story? Because right now, the ability of the public to speak to power, you people or anybody, is the foundation of our democracy. And right now, in this town, Mary Wagon and Andy Gottlieb, when he was selectman, refused to grant the public that respect. Without that respect, we can't have a democracy. It is absolutely imperative to allow public comment first and foremost at any public meeting. If you don't listen to the people, then why are you even here? It's very, very, very important. Over the last century, a consensus has developed in this nation that the individual does matter, and that when a mother loses a child, we all ache for her loss. That's what we have decided that our government is about. The reason that we value and respect the individual is that many fewer parents now don't have to go through what Calvin Coolidge had to go through. The respect for the individual begins with, the foundation of our democracy begins with the individual and the individual's ability to come before you as a board and speak what they believe. You don't have to like it, but you have to listen to it. So now, here we are in Mashpee. We have one board, the Mashpee Planning Board, that is refusing to allow public comment, refusing to allow it outright. One agenda had no public comment at all on the agenda. 2 other agendas, including the most recent one, say the chair will allow public comment at her discretion. This is not how democracy is supposed to work. We're not supposed to have to go on bended knee and beg the Queen or the King to listen to us. We're supposed to be able to come here and talk and people listen. You don't have to agree, but you have to respect the individual and his or her right to speak out. So a number of people have talked to Mary and tried to get her to put this on the agenda, and she simply has refused. This all began with Andy Gottlieb about 2 years ago. Andy decided that he did not like what was happening at public comment, And so instead of refusing to allow public comment at all, he put public comment at the absolute end of the agenda. And then he had his little Captain Hook timer that he put on. Every time you stood up to speak, you would hear tick, 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 tick in the background, and he only allowed you to speak for 3 minutes. Putting it at the end meant that he lacked respect for the people and what they wanted to tell him, and he wasn't willing to listen. He didn't have the time. But it also meant that the people who had come there to speak about various issues that might have been on the meeting agenda were not able to speak until after the discussions and the decisions had happened. I've lived in this town for 35 years, and I've never seen this before. Never seen it before. So I went and I researched other towns. How do they handle public comment across the board? When I researched, I did not find one town that either refused to allow public comment at all or placed it at the end of the meeting. Every meeting that I found, public comment came at the beginning of the meeting. The public was respected. So Rodney, well, our town manager, and Wayne are concerned about money. They're concerned that people will come and take up so much time in a meeting that the town will have to pay overtime for various officials that have been required to come to the meeting. This is certainly a valid point. You don't want to have to waste overtime money on people when they listen to an hour of public comment. Makes perfect sense. The town manager and I just spent an hour talking, and we came up with some ideas about how this proposal can be negotiated or rewritten so that we can both respect the public's right to talk and also respect the town's need to save money, because we do. We have some ideas for how we could do that. In Bourne, how they do it is, at the beginning of each meeting, they say, we have 12 minutes for public comment. Each person is only allowed to talk for 2 minutes, so that means 6 people could talk. But what we could do here is something like that, and I think that would be valid. We could say we only want 2 people to talk, and the rest of the people can talk at the end of the meeting. It really is up to people to negotiate, not to dictate, not to say you can't talk because I don't want to hear you, but to say I'm responsible for running this meeting. I want to hear what you have to say. How can we meet in the middle? That's the way to do it. One way to do it, which I've done in the past in my own life, is a number of people come to a meeting and they want to talk. You can say, we don't really have time for all these people to talk at the beginning. Would you be willing for 1 or 2 people to talk now and the rest can speak later? My experience is that most people will say that's fine. Or another way to do it is what Bourne did. What Sandwich did, which I really loved, is they have public comment at the beginning of their meeting, and then they have public comment at the end of their meeting. I think that's great. I don't know if that means the same person can talk twice, or that's their way of making sure that the meeting isn't ruined by a large group of people. I'm going over to Sandwich soon, maybe tomorrow or the next day, to ask them, where did this come from? Why do you do this? So one of the concerns that the town manager has is, if we do this, is it legal? I think it's probably legal. Certainly Bourne thinks it's legal. I suspect that Sandwich thinks it's legal, but I don't know the details yet of Sandwich. But we need to find some way that the public's right to speak and be heard is respected. Why is this important to do it at the beginning of a meeting instead of in the middle or at the end? If you come to a meeting to talk about particular issues on that agenda, what would be the point of you talking at the end of the meeting? This is what Andy did to people. You can't talk till the meeting's all over. So we know why that happened. Recently, there was an issue where someone was put up for being on board. Public comment didn't come until after that was voted on. And so if you were a person who thought that person should not be on a town board, you didn't have a chance to say anything until the select board had already voted to accept that person on the board. In other words, that's yet another way to manipulate the requirement to have public comment, so the public is not actually respected. We see in Washington right now what happens when the public is not respected. There is a schism. As I say, it's not Republicans and Democrats, it's people who believe one point of view about government and people who believe another point of view about government. But the schism started because some people believe the people should be respected and listened to, and some people don't. So, this apparently, the way it's proposed here, would be a bylaw. Wasn't my intention. As you all know, I'm a journalist and author, so I'm introducing ideas here for discussion. How it finally works out is really not up to me, it's up to all of you. It's up to the town manager, who has some really good ideas, and I'm sure the assistant town manager has good ideas. It's a process that's in negotiation. But for now, I'm going to leave this proposal in the agenda that will be sent out to all the voters in town so that they know this issue is up for discussion. And I hope that you all agree with me, and I think you do, because public comment is at the beginning of your meeting, that the public should be allowed to speak, and that it should be at the beginning of the meeting, so before you have discussions on these issues, you know what the public thinks. This is how democracy functions. Democracy functions through negotiations and common human courtesy. Most of the time in this town we have this, but sometimes right now, in one or two boards, we don't have that. We have people who are interested in control. And that's why this needs to be not just taken for granted as a right, a la Norman Rockwell, but somehow or other put into a bylaw or perhaps into the town charter, as the town manager suggested might be able to happen. That's why I'm here. You can ask me any questions you want.
Thank you.
Mrs. Williams, Greg McKelvey, just a couple quick questions. So I understand the last point you made about having a person appointed to a committee, and then they're already appointed, and no one's able to come up and speak to that appointment. Would it be acceptable if the chair at such a meeting were to ask to the audience after they spoke to that person and took their application, if there was anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this nominee's appointment?
Well, that would be very acceptable, but that wouldn't cover what I'm interested in.
Correct, but you
Okay.
brought that up, so I wanted to bring that up too.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
So that would be acceptable. I think the chair should invite public participation whenever possible, because that's what democracy is all about. But the reason I'm concerned about that is because I have seen over the last 3 years that I've been watching Mashpee government closely, some people, not most people, but some people usurp that power and not allow the public to speak. And that's why I feel we need to be clearer about the public's right to speak. So my preference is that this would be done, as it's always been done in New England, at the beginning of every meeting. And it's done in all the other towns on Cape Cod that I researched. Public comment starts at the beginning. But of course, the chair can also invite comments whenever the chair wishes.
So you mentioned also that you had some discussions with the town manager, some ideas battered back and forth. If that's, is that something you would be open to amending on the floor at the town meeting?
Sure. You know, this is just an idea I'm suggesting to you. I'm a journalist and an author. I don't have to have my way. I just come up with the ideas. You guys figure out what you want to do. You know, it's up to you what you think. This is how I see democracy being valued. So how this eventually comes out, I don't know. You know, do people get together and rewrite it or anything like that? As long as the public is guaranteed the right to speak, and as long as we find some way for that guarantee to happen at the beginning of a meeting, because that's respect. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about respect here. These two men listening to this speaker here have suits and ties on, but they're listening to the workman with the newspaper in his pocket, because that's what democracy, especially New England democracy, is all about. So it's possible, you know, some concerns are, what if 20 people show up and we have this thing and this thing on the agenda, we have to do it. So a gracious chair can say, I am requested to have public meeting, a public comment at the beginning, and so I will take 1 or 2 public comments. But right now, we also need to do A, B, C, and D, so would the rest of you be willing to talk later? In my experience, most people will say, sure. There are a few belligerent people. We can't legislate for everybody. But most people will say sure, because they will feel that they were asked and they will feel that they were respected. That's what people want. They want to be asked and they want to be respected. And that's not happening right now in certain situations. You should not have to ask the chair of a committee for the right to speak at that committee. We don't have kings and queens here. We have democracy.
The only time that, this is Dick Weiner, the only time that gets into problems is when somebody tries to filibuster and take over the meeting and talk on and on and on and not sit down.
You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. And the way that most people have dealt with it at this point, all over Massachusetts, is by limiting the time that people can speak.
I think you have to do that.
You know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I think in our town has a limit of 3 minutes. So we can do that. And again, that's something you can handle. A gracious chair can handle that. What you're saying is you don't want one person to dominate the meeting, and I agree.
You know, just filibuster and go on for hours.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have one person right now in town who's very upset about one particular issue, and he does tend to talk a lot about that issue. So it's possible to handle that by saying, we can talk to you later. We'd love to hear more from you. Let's get together for coffee. These kinds of things. You know, these kinds of things. But you can control that by just saying you only have a few minutes. And you don't have to be crude and set a timer, tick-tock, 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 Captain Hook's watch. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be that disrespectful to people when they talk.
Good motion, I like it.
Any further questions?
Jeffrey Pettingill, the only thing I'm unclear of in this article is what exactly we're amending. It just says Chapter 3. It doesn't say whether it's a bylaw or the charter or what.
Well, we
that's
don't,
the only thing.
it's not about amending the charter, because I don't know how to do that. You know, this is the only
Well,
thing.
what is Chapter 3?
I don't know. That's just what, people help me write it, and they put in Chapter 3. So I guess it's a bylaw?
Yeah,
The suggestion is that it's a bylaw?
Mr. Town Manager, can you speak to this?
I had nothing to do with the chapter, so I don't know.
yeah. So that's what's unclear for me in the way this is written.
Yes. It could be better written, you're exactly right.
So my question is, of the towns you've looked at, do they have something like this in their bylaws?
That's a very good question, and I don't know the answer to that question. I'm going to go and find out, because it never occurred to me that I would need to know that, but I should know that. How, when Bourne has 12 minutes at the beginning, how do they do that? Is that just a consensus?
Just a practice they've
It could
developed
be
over
a
the years?
consensus, or, you know, why does Sandwich have public comment at the beginning of the meeting, at the end of the meeting? I don't know why. So I'm going to go find that out. It could be just consensus, but my feeling right now is that we've had a consensus on this very issue forever in the 35 years that I've lived here, and suddenly the consensus is no longer there. The right of the public to speak is not respected at the planning board right now, and it wasn't respected by Andy Gottlieb. And so
are we assuming that this Chapter 3 is a bylaw then? Or we have no idea?
No idea.
I could come back to you later with these questions. I don't really know the answer to the questions you're asking.
Okay.
I wasn't meaning.
Well, it's you submitted this, right?
Yes.
And it says, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 3.
Okay, well, then it must be a bylaw. If that's what it's called, then that's what it's called.
Okay. Any further questions?
No other questions?
Nope. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Don't forget your picture.
A picture, yeah.
Okay, those were all the articles we had on hold.
That's the information. Just a moment.
Yeah, we have a lot to do. Be right back. So I'll be looking for motions to remove holds on
Yeah.
any of these.
Okay, we didn't take any action on that, so it should be there.
Madam Chairman, if I could suggest, I think we have some new ones on here tonight as well.
Yep, that'll be
Yeah,
later in the agenda.
That'll be under new business.
Okay.
We're still on
I was
old
just thinking
business.
about our manager and our,
Yeah, we're
we
good
with
to
them?
go. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay.
Thanks, gentlemen.
So, Madam Chair, Jeffrey Pettigill, I'd like to make a motion, we remove the hold on Article number 10.
I'll give you a second on that, just to continue it, if you need it.
Okay, any discussion? So this is just in case they don't receive
Chapter
reimbursement.
90, Article, we're
Yes.
basically
Right.
just waiting for a dollar amount.
For snow and ice, right?
No,
No.
no, this is in the annual warrant, number
Oh, okay.
10.
Article 19.
There is a dollar amount.
There is now.
Yeah.
Yes.
There wasn't before.
Yep. And this is just in case they don't receive reimbursement, which she says has never happened.
Exactly.
So-
So,
So do we have a motion
there's a
to?
motion to remove the hold.
Second, if there hasn't been.
Yeah, you
Oh,
seconded.
yeah. So we'll vote. Jeff?
Yes, remove the hold.
Yes.
Darlene? Lee?
Yes.
Yes.
Richard?
Greg McKelvey, yes.
And I'm a yes.
Madam Chair, Jeff Pettigill, I make a motion, we recommend Article number 10.
Second. Greg McKelvey seconds.
Any discussion?
I thought she was very thorough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I was fine, I just wanted to know, see the
The
amount
dollar
before
amount.
I recommended it,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Right.
Article 19 was the next one.
The next one
I recommend,
is Article 22.
Greg McKelvey recommends that we remove the hold on Article 22.
Jeff
Second.
Pettigill, second.
We'll vote to remove the hold. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Any discussion? This makes sense to me.
I
If
make
it's
a
10
motion, I make a motion, we recommend Article number 22.
Second.
Yeah, if they're spending 10 grand a year on overtime, and they'll
The
get to.
summer help, too.
Yeah, they'll
Yes.
get to reduce the
Makes
amount
sense.
they spend on summer help, it makes sense.
And I liked her answer about, wonder if we got a full house. Well, you go and you just.
Do
you
the extra
You do some
detail.
extra cleaning or
Yep.
some deep cleaning somewhere.
Yep.
So someone will be busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand not being able to find and retain
Anybody for a part-time?
anybody for a, hey, Joe is sick today, can you come in?
Right.
That's, yeah.
There's a lot of that.
No guarantee.
A lot of that problem going around, I
Yeah.
think. with-
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, the major issue with part-time positions is there's no health benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And in this
they-
case, it's no guarantee of hours either, so.
Right.
It's really,
Yeah, unless you've got nothing to do, you don't want to be on that waiting list. You need the money.
yeah. Okay, so we will vote to recommend. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Madam Chair, Jeff Pettingill will recommend to remove the hold on Article number 23.
Second.
So we'll vote to remove the hold. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Madam Chair, I vote to recommend Article 23.
I second that.
Any discussion? That position is going to be busy inspecting every single home that's being hooked up.
I like Richard's question about.
At least in
going
the
back-
short term.
Yeah.
It could go back to part-time at some time.
Yeah.
But I think as phases come on, they're still going to need
There's
that
going to
extra
be
help.
more,
So maybe at
yes,
some
until
point, but-
everybody is
yeah.
hooked up, so.
Just like
God,
wondering,
yes.
after 2 or 3 years or something, when the
Right.
plumbing is done, then you're gonna have this guy sitting around not having that much business.
Good question.
Hopefully it's more, it's faster than
Well,
2
he
and 3
said
years.
they will
but it's gonna be
evaluate it
Yes.
at that time.
Yeah, and it's only for a 3-year.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, so if it's for a limited period of time, I can see it.
yes. So we'll vote to recommend.
Article 23?
Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Madam Chair, I've moved to remove the hold on Article 24.
I second that.
And we'll vote to remove the hold. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Madam Chair, Jeff Pettingill, motion to recommend Article number 24.
Second.
Any discussion? That's a lot of people going in and out of the senior center
Oh, my
every
goodness.
year.
Oh, my God,
I
I
had
was,
no idea.
I didn't either.
Oh, yeah, no,
I
it's a
see them
busy, it's a
every
busy
day.
place.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a busy
Yes,
place.
I'll be running the baseball trivia on April 4th. Thank you.
Can you give me the answers?
Opening day.
Give me the answers and then
I don't
I'll-
have the answers yet. I got to figure that out.
You haven't even got the questions.
Exactly.
Well, and it's good she has somebody that loves the job, that wants to
Yes.
become full-time, so.
And that person who has the job has increased the number of programs as a result of requests from the public, and now is having to work as a volunteer on those hours to try to, complete all the work. There's just
So they
not-
need more help.
Well, they need that person
they
to
need them
have a
full-time.
full-time job.
Yeah, they need.
Right.
Okay, so we'll vote to recommend this article. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, the previous 23 was withdrawn.
Should be Article 27.
Article 27. That was a placeholder.
I make a motion to remove the hold on Article 27.
Second.
Vote to remove the hold. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
I thought his presentation was very thorough.
I make a motion to recommend Article 27.
Yes. To second.
Wait, 27,
27 is the bylaw, the
So,
demolition bylaw.
Demolition bylaw.
in draft 3?
Oh.
27 is the accessory apartment.
Oh, he's
Yes. Zoning.
28,
20,
28. Our apologies.
28.
So we, hold on.
That's right,
So
he
we gotta go
removed-
back,
Yeah, so we've removed the hold,
hold on 27.
yes.
Okay.
But we're
But
you-
not
27
ready to take action
We're
on
not
that
taking,
one.
No.
Because that's being removed apparently, or something. He said he was removing the accessory apartments, and the planning board was bringing something forward.
so we're going to hold a vote on that.
Well, no, this is the new one.
Oh,
We need
okay.
to talk to the planning board, which we didn't ask for them to come in
Right.
tonight because this wasn't there.
Correct.
So I'll be looking for a motion to put this back on hold.
Yes.
Oh.
got that.
Second.
Yeah.
Which one we
Well,
talking
someone
about?
has to make the motion.
You said
Yes.
yes.
Greg just
Oh,
made-
he said
So
yes.
moved.
It was 27?
Second. Okay.
27?
Yes.
So we'll vote to put Article 27 back on hold. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Yes,
Richard?
Yes.
Yes.
Greg? And I'm a yes. So I will ask for the planning board to
Yes,
come in
please.
and discuss this article with us.
So I make a motion, we remove the hold on Article 28.
Second.
We'll vote to remove the hold. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Jeff Pentgilly, make a motion to recommend Article 28.
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, I thought he was very thorough.
I'm just
He
looking-
was.
I'm
Great
just looking for it.
explanations. You,
it's the
exactly, all
demolition.
about those properties and important. And I think it's important, there's 25 properties,
Yep, you're on it.
possibly.
I am, I just can't find the, oh,
Right.
I couldn't find the beginning
So,
of it. Okay.
I think it's important.
It's only a handful of people.
It's only a handful of
Yeah.
people, right?
And again, it's not up to the realtor, the seller, or it's really up to the buyer. If you're buying a 100-year-old home with the intent to
With
demolish
the intent to demolish it, yeah.
you should be doing your
Yeah.
due diligence. Okay, so
Jeff made a
we
motion.
had a motion to
yeah.
recommend.
Yep.
We'll vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
All right. I make a motion to remove the hold on Article 30.
Second.
I'm not sure about that, removing the hold, because it seems as though we need to know for sure if what's going to happen is amending Chapter 3.
Of what? Of what?
Well, we can discuss it after we. I think we
Well,
got-
we've got a motion on the floor we
To
can
discuss it.
Oh.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Discuss whether or not to remove the
Remove
hold.
the hold, then we
Oh,
can
okay,
discuss
I'm
it.
sorry. I got ahead of
No, we
myself.
can discuss the motion of removing the hold. She
Yes,
doesn't,
and that's
she,
what I'm
she's
I'm
not sure whether
That's
she
right.
wants to remove the hold.
questioning whether we should remove the hold.
Got you.
Because I'm not sure if this is the way it's going to come out.
I find it odd that the petitioner didn't even know
What
what that
chapter?
meant.
What
Yes,
chapter
me
3
too.
was, yeah.
Me too.
And the select board does not recommend this.
Of course not. I'm
I think it's.
unsure of whether or not to recommend it, period.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's unclear the way it's written.
Right.
To me.
Yeah. I believe in the
and-
spirit of it.
I do too,
but I
bless you.
don't know if
Bless you.
I approve the way it's
I
written.
also kind of feel like the entire presentation was maybe an example of why you might not want to vote this in.
And it seems like it's still in flux, possible amendments on the floor, or who knows?
Yeah, I
So
feel like
maybe-
it's not ready. Like,
So
there
maybe-
needed to be more research and everything needed to be clearer.
Right.
Part of that conversation was all started because there was an altercation
Right.
at the Charter Review Committee. You weren't there,
I wasn't there that night.
but Mary and the other woman went off on me, vice versa. And it was amazing to me, because I thought it was totally inappropriate for where it happened, and I couldn't believe that it was going on.
Where was this?
Charter review.
charter.
Oh, the charter review.
Like Lee, I think the spirit of it is appropriate. I'm unclear on some things that still aren't questioned. You know, I think she was not, I mean, there's still things in flux. I think there's still information to be gathered, and I think it may even change at the meeting. It's like an amendment on the floor.
Is that appropriate, though? Like,
Yeah,
you
you
should
can-
have
you can
your,
do
du-
that.
I know, but you should really have
You could-
your
you could do
ducks in a
that.
row before you,
So maybe we make no recommendation.
Well, the Charter Review Committee, is the Charter Review Committee meeting any more?
Oh, yes.
Oh, God,
Okay.
yes.
Because I didn't know if at that meeting you can bring that Chapter 3 up, or is that not in part of your agenda?
well, this is a bylaw, though, not the charter,
That's
right?
what she seemed to indicate, yes.
Right.
Okay.
So,
We have no idea whether it's the bylaw.
We don't know where
or
this
what.
right.
comes from.
And what the charter review is, what the charter review is recommending is in the warrant tonight that we'll look at in a few minutes. So,
Okay, so we need to have all the correct information before, I think.
No, I don't know if we're gonna get it.
I think we just sort of leave it on hold.
Well, we could either leave it on hold, or we could
Vote to make no recommendation.
vote to make
Vote to
no
not
recommendation.
recommend.
maybe vote to make no recommendation, as opposed to not to recommend, but
and that way, on the floor, it will be determined if there's a change, and the people will decide.
Bless you.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, let's
Excuse me.
vote to remove the hold. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
yes.
Richard?
No, I want to leave it on hold.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So the hold is removed.
Then we have to vote to approve.
No,
Well, no.
we
Talk about that.
I make a recommendation, we make no recommendation.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think we ought to just put it on, keep it on hold until she can clarify. I mean, the issue really is,
She may not know until the night of the meeting, though, Richard. Like, it may change up until,
And if we hear something at the meeting, or we get other information, doesn't mean we can't rescind our vote and change our
Right.
vote either.
right.
So, we can do that as well.
I'm on the fence of either making no recommendation or not recommending. I could go either way. Again, I agree with the principle. We have public comment on every agenda at the
Yep.
beginning. But if it were a 15-minute dog and pony show like that for each person that, like, I can see why it needs to be much clearer than this for
Yeah.
the sake of the length
Yeah.
of these board meetings.
you don't want somebody to stand up and start lobbying, and take up an hour.
Right.
I feel that I don't want to not recommend it because I believe in the thought of it.
Right.
So I would rather just not make a recommendation.
Until they have it
Yeah, just.
clearer. Okay, I can get on board with that. So we will vote to make no recommendation. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Based upon the clarification of Chapter 3, what Chapter 3 is?
We're just voting to make no recommendation on this article. You either vote yes or no.
No.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So I need to write that down.
Okay.
5-1. Okay, and that was all of our,
Everything we had on hold except for the article in the special.
which was the snow and ice.
yeah.
Yep, and she said they would have that by
Hopefully
the
in
end of
the
the day.
next draft, we'll
Yes.
have the number.
Okay, so, new business, town manager has left. Discuss warrant articles for which no action was taken last week, which is
Article number 4, the first one?
the special
Nope, the annual.
annual.
Yeah, all the specials have been addressed.
Okay, Article 4, to see if the town will vote to authorize the treasurer, upon approval of the select board, to borrow the sum of $37,150,000 at one time or from time to time, under and pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 7 or 8 of the general laws, or any other enabling authority, and to appropriate said sum for purposes of paying the cost of construction of a new police station located at 19 Franks Hicks Drive, Mashpee, including costs of demolition and removal of any structures or features thereon, site preparation, and all other costs incidental and related thereto, as recommended by the Capital Improvement Program Committee, provided, however, that any borrowing authorized hereunder shall be expressly subject to and contingent upon approval by the voters of the town of a ballot question to exclude from the limitations of Proposition 2.5, so-called General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, the amounts required to pay the principal and interest on any bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness issued hereunder, or take any other action relating thereto.
Madam Chairman, I need to step out for just a second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Jeff Pengill, I make a motion to recommend Article number 4.
Second.
I would like to wait until
Yep.
Greg comes
Yeah.
back to vote on
Wanted to
it.
get the motion on the floor.
You know, which article number is this?
It's Article number 4 in the annual, page 15.
In the annual, not the special, so keep flipping.
Page 15.
So,
Any discussion on this? It's okay.
My
We
only
waited for you.
discussion is that I've seen it, and I make a
Understand,
recommendation.
understand the necessary,
I understand the
Yeah.
necessary need.
Sorry about that, Madam Chair. I had a
You mean the
family-
police
Had a family
station?
issue. to
are you
deal
good?
with. Yeah, I'm good. yeah.
Okay. So there has been a motion to recommend Article 4 and a second. Any further discussion?
It's just necessary.
Yeah.
Yes, it
We've-
is.
Can't see any way around
I believe
it.
every member, Jeff, did you? No. So every member except Jeff has gotten a tour. It's,
And there's a lot of questions about it, and I think they're legitimate questions.
yeah,
But the reality is you can't go back and fix the past.
No.
You got to deal with what you've got now.
yeah, I've
and go
seen
f-
like a little.
Yes, and go forward. And answer those questions as you go. You know, making sure that things are done and picked up as you make sure things are taken care of as they happen.
Right, that's the main
Right.
negativity
But it's
that I've
necessary.
seen online about it is, well, why wasn't this kept up on? But you, I mean, you can only keep up on so much.
So it's necessary.
The building was
Yes.
built in 1947, I didn't realize that.
74
74.
74.
or 70
It was
something.
And,
In the
and,
city.
and
Yeah,
looking
not in
at
the
it,
40s, in
and
the
looking at it,
70s.
and looking at it now as time has gone by, you know, the layout is horrible.
And from the outside,
it's
if you
probably-
drive by, it looks great.
And it was
Oh, yeah,
probably
from the
fine.
outside.
But it's the innards that are the
Yeah.
real problem.
Well, and just even the population of Mashpee in the 70s
Correct.
versus now, they're
Correct.
servicing many more
Almost
Correct.
3
citizens.
times.
Yes, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so we will vote to recommend Article 4. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So Article 5 is the
Yep.
next?
Yep.
Oh, I'll read it, okay. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to authorize the treasurer, upon the approval of the select board, to borrow the sum of $200,000 at one time or from time to time, under and pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 7 or 8 of the general laws, or any other enabling authority, and to appropriate said sum for purposes of paying the costs of a wastewater Phase 3 recharge evaluation, including all other costs incidental and related thereto, as recommended by the Capital Improvement Program Committee, provided, however, that any borrowing authorized hereunder shall be expressly subject to and contingent upon approval by the voters of the town of of a ballot question to exclude from the limitations of Proposition 2.5, so-called General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, the amounts required to pay the principal and interest on any bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness issued hereunder, or take any other action relating thereto.
Madam Chair, Jeff Bengill, I make a motion to recommend Article number 5.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, this is one of the ones, this is from the CIP, that, the sewer commissioner came in, Jared came in and talked to us. He talked to us as well, and going forward, it's some of the things they have to do to figure out where things will be recharged.
Yep.
So this is just for the evaluation
Right.
portion of it.
Correct. When you come across a project like this, there's a lot of little things involved, and this is one of the things they have to do.
Well, remember the engineering and design
Yes.
was going on this town meeting, and then the one that would receive outside funding will go on October.
Right.
Okay, so we'll vote to recommend. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to authorize the treasurer upon the approval of the select board to borrow the sum of $250,000 at one time or from time to time, under and pursuant to Chapter 44, Sections 7 or 8 of the general laws, or any enabling authority, and to appropriate said sum for purposes of paying the costs of design, engineering, and permitting of an aluminum sulfate treatment for the Mashpee Wakeby Pond, including all other costs incidental and related thereto, as recommended by the Capital Improvement Program Committee, provided, however, that any borrowing authorized hereunder shall be expressly subject to and contingent upon approval by the voters of the town of a ballot question to exclude from the limitations of Proposition 2.5, so-called General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, the amounts required to pay the principal and interest on any bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness issued hereunder, or take any other action relating thereto.
I make a motion to recommend.
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay, so this is for design, engineering, permitting of an aluminum sulfate treatment
Yep, the
Yes.
element.
for them.
Yes.
So this would be like the second step.
If I understood them correctly, this was to help to grab those phosphates
Yep.
and lock them down, help the waters there.
Yep. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll vote to recommend. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to authorize the treasurer upon the approval of the select board to borrow the sum of $2,500,000 at one time or from time to time, under and pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 7 or 8 of the general laws, or any other enabling authority, and to appropriate said sum for purposes of paying the cost of design and engineering of a Mashpee Wakeby Cluster wastewater treatment facility, including all other costs incidental and related thereto, as recommended by the Capital Improvement Program Committee, provided, however, that any borrowing authorized hereunder shall be expressly subject to and contingent upon approval by the voters of the town of a ballot question to exclude from the limitations of Proposition 2.5, so-called General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, the amounts required to pay the principal and interest on any bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness issued hereunder, or take any other action relating thereto.
I make a motion to recommend Article number 7.
Second.
Any discussion on this one?
Well, that was for that cluster facility up in on Mashpee Wakeby. It's so needed to help clean those waters in that pond.
Yep.
So, and it's just for the design and engineering at this point.
$2.5 million.
Just $2.5 million for design.
Well, but when it comes to the building, there are funds coming in for that.
Yes, and the zero interest funds, things
Right.
like that, yes.
Right.
And the forgiveness, so.
And the Cape Cod water.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll vote to recommend this article. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Have we ever kept track of, from prior years, on the water treatment process, of how many articles we have like this? I mean, I have never done that, but it's $2.5 million. I wonder, every year we seem to have water treatment issues, and we always keep appropriating this big amount of money. I wonder what,
Well, you got to remember, Richard, we started from zero.
And we've been kicking the can
And
down
we-
the road
right.
since the
Years.
70s.
Kick the can down
Years.
the road, and now it's time
The can
to
is here.
step up. Yeah, the can is here.
can has
The
arrived.
can is too heavy to kick
The
anymore.
can is,
I
the
agree with
can is
that.
picking up
Okay,
all the
but the
oil
issue
and
is
grease that we put in
how
the
many
ocean and
other
the
prior years
ponds and
we've also
the,
appropriated money for the treatment of the ponds. I wonder if the same ponds we keep appropriating money for. I voted for it, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how much money we're really spending
I think
doing this.
18.
Well, you could do
Yeah.
that research for us, Richard. You know, you could do the research.
I wondered if anybody else had. I had not done it.
Did we finish
Where
with
we
that?
at?
We finished with that article and now we're moving on, or we need to
Yeah.
vote?
Yeah, we're good.
We voted.
we voted on 7.
Okay, so Article 18, to see if the town will vote to make the following changes to the town charter.
18.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh.
It's a new one from the charter review. To revise section 1 through 7 definitions by amending subsection 0, or O, little o, town bulletin boards to read. Town bulletin boards, the words town bulletin boards shall mean: 1, the bulletin board at the town hall on which the town clerk posts official notices of meetings and upon which other official town notices are posted. And 2, the town's official website as designated by the select board, provided the town's official website is functioning and operational. And 3, the bulletin boards at any other locations as may be designated town bulletin boards by the select board. To revise section 3 and 4, town clerk, by amending.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman, do we want to talk about each one of these as we go through them? Because
Let me read the whole thing.
Okay.
And then we'll talk.
have at it.
To revise section 3-4, town clerk, by amending subsection small b, powers and duties, to read, powers and duties. The town clerk shall be the keeper of vital statistics for the town, the custodian of the town seal, shall administer the oath of office to all persons elected or appointed to any town office, except in the case of appointed employees, where in addition to the town clerk, the appointing authority may be administered the oath of office. Shall issue such licenses and permits as are required by law to be issued by town clerks. Supervise and manage the conduct of all elections and all other matters relating to elections. Be the clerk of the town meeting, keep its records, and in the absence of the town moderator or deputy town moderator, to preside at town meetings, pending the election of a temporary town moderator. The moderator or a designee of the moderator shall be responsible to review the minutes of all multiple member bodies appointed by the moderator. To revise section 6-2, school committee budget, as follows. Add the following language to the end of subsection little a, public hearing. Provided the town's official website is functioning and operational, said notice shall also be posted on the town's official website concurrently with the notice in the local newspaper. Only after all persons have had a reasonable opportunity to be heard at said public hearing, the school committee may close the public hearing and then take a final vote on the proposed budget. And amending subsection little b, submission to town manager by adding the word "that" after the words "town operating budget" and before the words "the town manager" in the first sentence. To revise section 6-3, submission of budget and budget message, by amending the section to read, on a date fixed by bylaw, at least 60 days before the annual town meeting is scheduled to begin, the town manager shall, 1, submit to the finance committee a proposed operating budget for the ensuing fiscal year with an accompanying budget message, budget summary and supporting documents, and 2, place complete copies of the proposed operating budget, budget message, and budget summary at the Mashpee Public Library and at Town Hall for public display and examination, and 3, post the proposed operating budget, budget message, and budget summary on the town's official website for public access, and 4, publish in a local newspaper and on the town's official website a notice of the availability of the proposed operating budget, budget message, and budget summary. The notice of availability shall indicate the places and website address where the budget documents can be accessed and examined by the public. The notice of availability shall be published in 2 consecutive editions of the local newspaper, and 5, publish in a local newspaper the operating budget at the same time as the first notice of availability is published. The budget message shall specifically indicate any major variations from the current operating budget and the reasons for such changes, and include supporting documentation, including a budget explanation, narrative, and analysis as appropriate. The budget message shall explain the proposed budget both in fiscal terms and in terms of the work programs linking those programs to organizational goals and community priorities. It shall outline the proposed financial policies of the town for the ensuing fiscal year and the impact of those policies on future years. It shall describe the important features of the budget, indicate any major changes from the current year in financial policies, expenditures, and revenues together with the reasons for such changes, summarize the town's debt position, including factors affecting the ability to raise resources through debt issues, report on the accomplishment of performance standards and goals established in prior budgets, and include such other material as the town manager deems desirable. The budget summary shall be a concise overview and indicate the sources of appropriations and revenues, along with corresponding fund balances where appropriate and available. Once the town meeting warrant is approved and executed by the select board, the budget message and summary shall be updated by the town manager. At least 2 weeks prior to town meeting, the town manager shall post the update on the town's official website for public access and shall place copies of the update at the Mashpee Public Library and at Town Hall for public display and examination. To delete section 6-4 budget message in its entirety. To revise section 6-5, the budget by amending the first sentence to add the words specify funding source after the words property tax levy and before the words and all proposed expenditures, or take any other action relating thereto.
Well done.
Madam Chair, Jeff Pettingill, I make a motion to recommend Article 18.
Second.
Any discussion?
Here you go, Greg.
Yeah, I have a question of those of you who were on the Charter Review Committee.
Yes.
And that is this particular one about the submission of the budget and budget message. Do we now submit budget and budget message in some way?
This is this budget and budget message right here.
Yeah.
So we already have that. So what that's about, from my recollection, and Darlene, correct me if I'm wrong, is the town gets a budget, the people see a budget, but they don't see all this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about opening up a transparent process so people can see this and have it available if they want to go through line by line, if they want to. Having that available to the public was felt necessary. Now, you can't print all this in the paper. You can't give everyone a copy, it wouldn't be cost effective, but you can have it available at different places and at different times for people to see and peruse as they want to. Is that your recollection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in other words, all of this detail would be available
Yes.
someplace for people to see?
Correct.
Okay.
Town hall, the library, and I think on the website too, there's some talk of that as well.
Yeah, there is talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure how they're going to do all of that on there in one.
Yeah, that's a lot of material to put up on the
Yeah,
website.
but I mean,
and
it's,
that's-
it's definitely, obviously going to be available to
I mean,
all the
that's a
homeowners.
full-time job for somebody for several days to
Yeah, right.
load all that on.
So, Madam Chair, on these articles, these have all been vetted and looked through and accepted by the Charter Review, a 2-year process that we engaged in now. Darlene and I have diligently been at these meetings to work through these different issues. The first part of that, Section 1.7, talks about bulletin boards. It was important to get access to different areas besides, so the official town bulletin board at this time is the bulletin board outside. It's important to have that at different places for people to see.
And there was a lot of conversation
Yes.
because there was concern about losing power and that you're going to get it, but that's not an issue. So, yeah, there was a lot of conversation about
Right.
making sure that the public has access to this stuff.
Number 6.2 was something about that the school board was looking for, particularly making sure that their information was there and public as well. What else here? 6.3, making sure, again, this is the budget message, making sure copies are available, people can get it, and so forth, and that the budget put out in a timely manner as we go through this whole process. So right now, I think the 60 days, I think, is important that we look at, trying to push the budget process not so close together to the May meeting, the October meeting, pushing it out a little bit, giving people more time to work on the budget as well. So all that is encompassed in this.
And I presume then that legal counsel has approved these amendments?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't be in here if they didn't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and everything goes,
So, the revision to section 3.4 regarding the town clerk, is that the, what's
Sorry, Jeff, I couldn't hear you.
italicized?
I couldn't hear you, Jeff.
I didn't,
The revision to section 3.4, the town clerk?
Yeah, oh, yes,
Is that
yes.
the italicized bit
Yeah,
in there?
so that's about the ability for someone, it's all the same except the ability for someone else to swear in town employees. And that is something that was wanted to be done by the town manager.
there was concern that if he weren't here on vacation or sick, somebody would be able to
Right, right.
swear them in.
So if you're a town employee and everyone gets appointed and sworn in, and so except the school board, the school we don't have authorization over that. So the town clerk swears in everyone in this building and everyone that works at the DPW. They get sworn in as a position.
I didn't know, I knew that committees were
Yep.
sworn in
Yep.
people, but I didn't know that employees were.
Yes, they do that. They don't do it at the school. The school may do their own thing. I'm not real sure. And they wanted to have the ability to do that, to have, in case the town clerk, whoever that is, isn't present or out of town, or there's not an assistant town clerk available. The fire department to do their people, the police department to do their people, and sometimes there's opportunity for someone, got someone coming in new from the DPW, for example. Want to come in and congratulate them and bring them in, swear them in. That's all that's about.
What do they swear to? I mean, they're swearing to be.
They're being appointed. They're.
Well,
do their
it's the
job?
same,
Friendly, courteous,
we
and
were all
kind.
sworn in for this.
To do their job.
Richard, you were sworn in for this.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
the-
same thing for every town employee. You're just,
I mean, what do
you're
they say?
swearing that you,
Going to be honest, trustworthy, loyal, friendly, courteous, and kind, and all
Yeah,
that kind of
something
stuff.
Follow the
like
law.
Follow the law.
That's a good one. And, how this is, doesn't lay out the process, but I would assume that if someone does it, Human Resources or Rodney does it or somewhere else, they would make sure those documents get forwarded on to the town clerk so that she would have a record in her office that it's been done as well. So that was a lot of discussion about that.
okay.
Down here, 6.5, budget. There's a lot of discussion about making sure that there was a specific funding source, where instead of just saying property tax levy, is there a specific funding source to a certain item that's on the budget, or where's that money coming from? That's what someone wanted to know. We put that in there as well. It's a lot of work. We spent a lot of time over the last 2 years putting this together, and it's been a learning experience. That's for sure, hasn't it, darling?
Yes, I still can't understand why it's taking so long, but that's just me.
Yeah,
Because we have a lot to learn. So that's that.
Okay, so we'll vote to recommend this article.
Any other questions or concerns?
Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to make the following changes to the town charter. To add the following preamble after the table of contents and before Article 1. We, the people of the town of Mashpee in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in recognition of the rich historical tapestry that has interwoven the town of Mashpee into the community it is today, and in order to assure the effectiveness of town government, facilitate the delivery of services, maintain our high quality of life, preserve and protect our environment, prepare for future growth, and encourage public participation in municipal affairs, all in accord with the Home Rule Amendment to the Constitution of the Commonwealth, do ordain and amend this Home Rule Charter for the town of Mashpee. As we embark on this amendment to our charter, we do so with the utmost respect for the past and deep sense of responsibility toward an equitable future. We pay tribute to the resilience of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe and all those who have called this land home throughout the ages. Through this preamble, we affirm the town of Mashpee's commitment to preserving the cultural, historical, and sovereign essence of our unique community. As we look to the future, we pledge to uphold the principles of inclusivity, unity, and respect, ensuring that the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe's sovereign voice and the voice of all residents is integral to collaborative governance. To replace Board of Selectmen with Select Board, and he with he, she, they throughout the town charter, and to incorporate other forms of inclusive language, or take any other action related thereto.
I make a recommendation to, I make a motion to recommend this, Article 19.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
So a lot of discussion about the preamble. This goes before, there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of good collaborative work.
There was, and it took took a long time.
Yeah, it took
I mean,
weeks.
We spent a lot of time on that.
Spent a lot of time on it. We felt unanimously that this is the best that we could do as a group.
It's very well written.
Yeah.
Well, and we tried real hard to make it fair for everybody and not make it just some fluff piece, but make it something that's substantial. And I think it is substantial.
Yeah.
It says a lot.
Yes, I agree.
This is like motherhood.
No, we worked hard on this one.
Second the motion if it hasn't been seconded.
It's been
It
seconded.
was second.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Oh, just one more thing. If you, at town meeting, these will all go as a group. So if something gets voted down, like Article 19 or Article 18 were to get voted down, everything would go away, not just one piece of it. my
18 and
understanding.
19?
Yeah, because 18 was the other group of amendments, right? So they grouped them together. And if you vote no on 18, you vote no on all of them.
Right, okay.
Right. So you lose all that work.
But Article 19 is separate.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That could be approved even if 18 wasn't.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's got to be that way,
Yeah.
article by article.
right.
Okay, so we'll vote to recommend this article. Jeff?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right. That's everything, right?
Excuse me.
We did all the ones on hold, and we did all the new ones, except for the accessory apartment, which I will have the planning board. Is it planning or zoning? Who do I,
Well, it says,
Whoever submitted it?
wait a minute, not 28,
No.
27?
27.
27.
It says submitted by the planning board.
Okay, so I will
You
have.
want somebody from the planning board.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember the zoning board doing
And
that.
then, just for in case, I have to tell them the votes tomorrow, but I'm not gonna have these minutes. Can you all help me?
I will update this when I get home.
Oh,
Thing,
aren't
and
you
send
the
it right out
best?
to
Thank
you.
you, that takes care of that. I did have on the agenda that we were going to start writing the explanations, but we're looking at 2 hours here. Do you want to keep going, or do you want to call it?
I say we give it a start.
Yeah, start it. There's a lot of them.
There are a lot, but they should go quick because it's just an explanation of why we voted the way we did.
Yeah, and he voted yes, and he's leaving.
I think if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take a quick break.
Okay.
Well, if we're going to do that, I'm going to
Yeah,
get some more
I
water.
will too.
More water.
Take a slight recess.
Slight recess.
Might I suggest that when we work on writing these now, we don't finalize, just get something
Just
written
get it
down?
going, and then
we
next
can-
week.
Next week,
Yep.
we can edit.
Yep.
Much easier approving something I can actually read.
Read, yep.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see how this little guy does.
Yes.
Okay, so, special town meeting, Article 1. We recommended approval by 7-0. It was for the outstanding bills, or unpaid bills. So the finance committee, voted to recommend approval of this article unanimously.
Yes.
Where are we now, on page one?
Because we gotta pay our bills.
We don't want to
So
get
how
arrested.
how do we say that in an appropriate?
Hang Ace Hardware out to dry?
What?
Hang Ace Hardware out to dry?
Because these are financial obligations that the town needs to pay.
That's very good. I like
These
that.
are financial,
Yep, I like that.
okay,
And this will have no impact on the current year's tax rate.
That's going to be your famous last sentence for all of them.
Definitely those in the special.
Article 2, we have not voted on yet. Article 3, we voted 7-0 to recommend. So let me copy and paste that. The Finance Committee voted to recommend this article unanimously. Just like,
Because this is in concurrence with Select Board Policy Number 072, which funds the Capital Stabilization Fund.
Yep.
Very good.
could you, because this is in concurrence with,
Select Board Policy Number 072.
and the last bit of that sentence.
Which funds the Capital Stabilization Fund from revenue available for appropriation.
I'm completely.
Gotcha.
And this has no impact.
And, yeah, I will copy and paste
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
in my free time, which I love to give to the Finance Committee.
I am totally impressed.
Article 4, we voted 7-0, so let me copy and
Article
paste
2 have a
that.
sum of money in it?
No.
We haven't voted on that one yet,
Not that
Richard.
yet, Richard.
Okay. Article 4, I'm sorry.
So Article 4, the Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of this
7-0.
article. This is just an annual article that,
Yes, this is
Annual
an article
appropriation.
that is pursuant to the provisions of a Massachusetts general law.
again, from the top, please, a little slower.
Oh, sorry. The transfer relies really on the provisions of a Massachusetts general law, Chapter 44B, Section 6.
So we voted for this to be in compliance with the law.
Yes.
Yes.
So we voted unanimously to recommend this
In compliance with the law.
With Massachusetts General Law, Chapters 448.
to be in compliance with
MGL,
MGL chapter
Chapter
blah, blah, blah.
44B, Section 6.
I just put blah, 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 and I'll fill it in later.
Okay.
And don't remember the
And this will have no
impact, yep.
On the tax rate.
no impact, yada, yada. Article 5, we voted unanimously.
This was,
That's a little more tricky.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's a good use of community preservation fund budget for appropriation reserve funds.
It is?
Was that a question or a statement?
It was a statement.
Statement.
Oh,
That's a statement.
yes,
And we voted for it 7-0 unanimously.
yeah. Well, I'm starting all of these with that, if that applies. So we voted unanimously because we feel this is a good use of those funds. Or
Preservation.
it's a good use of the funds and it's necessary.
Is
Well-
required to finish the project.
And it's addressing impaired water quality concerns.
Right.
Okay, so is that what we want to say then? We voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article. Say what you said again, please.
Say it again, Jeff.
Because it's addressing impaired water quality concerns of Mashpee Wakeby Pond.
This will address what?
Impaired
Impaired water
water
quality
quality.
Impaired.
concerns at Mashpee Wakeby Pond.
Boat ramp.
I can't believe you gave up the piano, because boy, can you type.
I was pretty good at the piano. Finance Committee voted to recommend approval unanimously because this will address impaired water quality concerns at Mashpee Wakeby Boat Ramp.
I think we also need something regarding the Association to Preserve Cape Cod.
In the same,
Site has advanced through permitting.
oh, yeah.
I don't know if we need to say that, do you think? I don't know.
I think it's,
Although,
the construction is proposed to the CP, it is proposed the CPC contribute $350,000.
They contributed, and we contributed, and they contributed.
Right,
Right, so we need to figure that.
yeah,
We don't want to miss out on that grant.
right. This is.
Well, and this money will only be taken if we get that
Right.
grant. They
This
will
is
not do the,
necessary.
yes.
For the town
Okay.
to receive the Association to Preserve Cape Cod funds.
That's how it seems like,
Receive
right?
grant funding for this project.
Yes.
This is necessary for the town to receive grant funding for this project.
because it is a $1.4 million project.
Right,
I sort
and
of
we
missed
have to
that.
chip in our amount in order
Right.
to get the grant
Yes.
fund. But that sentence takes care of it. This is
Yeah.
necessary for the town to receive grant funding for this project.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. 6. And we
Do we have to
voted
vote on
7.
these as we go?
We've already voted on these,
All right,
Richard.
okay.
And this one on
We
the
voted 7 to
ancient
nothing.
burial grounds, the project was initially funded in October of '23. So it's really just,
To finish up.
Yeah,
it's just to complete the restoration project.
Yep, they need 13 grand to finish.
Yep.
right.
Right.
But this is coming from that 10% historic purpose, which is a good use of those funds, and it has no impact.
Yep.
So we voted unanimously because this is a, I don't know.
This is necessary to complete the project which was initially funded at the October 16, 2023 town meeting.
Voted unanimously to recommend because this is necessary to complete the project that was funded.
Initially funded
October.
at the October 16, 2023 town meeting.
Right.
No impact.
No impact.
Seven. And we are 7-0 on this one. It's the War Memorial.
Mashpee Veteran Award, monument. See if the town-
Honor and pay
Because
tribute.
this is Because this will
Didn't-
honor,
Yeah, honor and tribute, I just lost it.
honor and pay tribute
to
to
Mashpee veterans.
our Mashpee veterans. I think that's enough,
No,
don't you?
I think that's,
We don't need to
Because
say
this
that.
will honor and pay tribute to our Mashpee veterans.
I think that's enough.
Period. No impact.
yeah, I don't think we need to go any further.
8,
We voted 7-0.
imagine that.
And
This is for,
we voted on this because.
Community preservation.
Right.
Yeah, this is Community Preservation 10% fund. We voted on this because the existing basketball court is in is in an unsafe condition,
In,
and the new one is
in
needed. A new one is
unsafe
needed.
condition.
I don't know what else to say, but it's, I know that from being there.
Yeah.
It's unsafe to
I
use.
think that's enough. The Finance
Okay.
Committee voted to recommend blah, 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 because the existing court is in unsafe condition.
Right.
No impact.
Cannot be used now.
Oh, do you want me to add that, and should not be used?
Well, no, you don't need to. I mean,
Okay.
that's just,
It cannot be used.
Well, they're using it. They're just,
yeah, they are, but it's unsafe. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
all right, 9,
7-0.
and why did we vote that way?
To provide enrichment and quality outdoor space for children and families.
There you go. Like that.
Well, it's right there. That's what we did. That's what we said.
Well, we don't want to just duplicate what the select board or CPC said. Radio silence.
I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Very different than how we used to write them, that's for sure.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. How about, it's an appropriate use of the Community Preservation Fund to provide a safe play space for children.
Yeah.
Play space, I like that.
To provide a safe play space. Is that one word?
No.
I don't think so.
Play space, no.
No, no,
Nope,
two words.
it underlined
And
itself.
we also
Play
add
space for
that is
children.
handicap accessible.
Oh, that is handicap accessible too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're
An
providing,
appropriate use of community preservation funds to provide a safe play space for children,
That
which
is
is
handi-
That is,
also
yeah, handicap access.
handicap.
Right.
accessible.
10,
10 was 7-0. We're so good.
More community preservation funds.
Yeah. We voted for this to preserve the heritage and the history of this place.
is this a cranberry barn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is this coming from historic? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
conduct a historic preservation feasibility study.
So maybe same thing, because it is an appropriate use of historic,
Preservation funds.
is it historic purpose? Historic?
It says,
Historic purpose reserve funds. Purpose reserve funds to preserve this building, this structure,
Yep.
to preserve this structure.
Yeah, storage barn, that's what it is. Cranberry storage.
So we voted unanimously, yada, yada, because it's an appropriate use of historic purpose reserve funds to to preserve this historic structure,
Maybe
Yeah.
preserve and protect.
preserve and
Oh,
protect
that's nice.
this historic structure, no impact.
Yep.
The tax rate.
Okay,
All right, and it brings us to the.
annual town meeting. Do we want to keep going? I mean, we're flying through these.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay.
You're doing a great job.
Okay, annual, Article 1.
Let's see.
Don't write this down, but this, we just do this one every year, but that's not
But
a good
it's,
reason.
it's important for the voting, the legislative body of the town to accept the annual report.
So we voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article because it is important for the legislative body of our town government to what now?
Approve the annual town report.
No impact.
No impact.
Article 2,
All right.
Omnibus budget.
so I think here we can say we, the finance committee attended the presentation meetings. Is that what they're called? The budget, the budget meetings?
Budget meetings,
Yeah.
The-
department head budget meetings.
Yep.
Department budget meetings. And had the opportunity to ask questions,
Well, discuss and review
to discuss
Discuss and
and
review.
review
with the town manager.
with the town manager and department heads.
Yep.
The Finance Committee attended the department budget meetings and had the opportunity to discuss and review with the town manager and department heads.
2016.
And feel,
The
and
expenses.
feel that this is a
Well,
fair
Reasonable.
fair and reasonable
Budget?
budget.
yeah, then do we want to say we recommend the town manager's recommendations? We need to say that, or not really?
That the town's manager's recommendations are fair and reasonable.
Yep.
And feel that the recommendation
Of the town
The
made
town-
manager
the
by
town
the
manager's
town
yep.
manager are fair,
and reasonable.
Yep. This will have an
Fair and-
impact.
This will have an impact. Yes, it will have an impact.
So, we voted unanimously. The
Heads up,
Finance Committee
this is
attended the
important.
department budget meetings and had the opportunity to discuss and review with the town manager and department heads. There needs to be something in there.
I was just thinking the expenses.
Discuss and
Their
review.
budgets, their budgets,
The proposed
salaries
budget.
and
their proposed budgets.
Budgets,
Yeah. Could say
The Finance
salaries and
Committee
expenses.
attended the department budget meetings and had the opportunity to discuss and review the proposed budgets with the town manager and department heads, and feel that the recommendations made by the town manager are fair and reasonable.
Yes.
And now, we just
This
leave
will-
that sentence out, or,
This will have an impact on the tax
Yeah.
rate.
Will or may?
Will.
Will.
I was just I was trying to soften it.
No, it
It will.
It will.
It will.
okay.
Wait, where's your,
Article 3.
CIP recommendations.
oh, that's CIP.
The Finance Committee reviewed the CIP recommendations after a meeting with CIP Chairman found recommendations to be,
In accordance with their 5-year plan.
yeah, in accordance
The
with their
Finance
5-year
Committee
plan.
reviewed
Yep.
the CIP recommendations and found them to be in accordance with their 5-year plan. Good?
Yeah, and this will have an impact.
This will impact. Okay, Article 4,
Well, wait a minute, can I ask a question about that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So most of this is.
Actually-
This is
No.
free cash
Yeah,
and
you're right.
ambulance
It's not
receipts,
gonna-
not this one.
No, this one does not.
This will have no impact
You're
on the
right.
tax rate. Yep.
I think I had the same
You're on
thing
the low
last
there,
year.
is what you were.
My first instinct for the new funding is.
Yes, these other ones,
Okay,
police department.
That's
Article
good- good-
4.
Good catch.
Oh, thank you.
Article 4, we haven't,
Yeah, we voted
Well,
7-0.
we did.
We did vote.
did vote
We
it,
voted
yeah.
on it.
7-0.
You voted to authorize the treasurer.
Recommended.
okay,
Approve.
so we voted unanimously. The majority of the members,
No, this was a 7-0 vote.
This was we did it all.
I know, but I'm saying that the majority of us have taken
Oh,
a tour
okay, got
and
it,
seen it in
got
person.
it.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah,
majority of the
yeah.
members of the Finance Committee toured the current police station and saw in person the great need for a new facility.
And we didn't see the rat.
I saw pictures of him.
Does that say enough?
I don't know, I want it to be more powerful than that, because I really want this to.
Jamie?
The majority of the members of the Finance Committee toured the current police station and saw in person the great need for a new facility.
And found it in a deplorable state.
Deplorable, yeah, or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't know. if that's-
Deplorable is too heavy.
Is it?
Okay, so let me read what it
Not
said.
bad, Richard.
Toured the current police station and
Found it sorely lacking
And
in
found it-
something.
It was deplorable.
to be in deplorable condition.
Unsafe and unhealthy.
Yes,
Yeah, maybe
unsafe and unhealthy.
instead
Yeah,
of deplorable.
unsafe and unhealthy is better than a
Yeah, get
deplorable.
rid
Yeah.
of deplorable and just put that in.
Because unsafe and unhealthy really.
It really says you have to
Yes.
replace it as opposed to.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, the majority of the members of the Finance Committee toured the current police station and found it to be in unsafe and
Unhealthy.
unhealthy,
Condition.
found it to be an unsafe
Unsafe
and
and
unhealthy working
Condition.
environment
Yeah,
Right.
Environment, yeah. That's
for our police officers and staff.
Yep.
I think it should be one more sentence in addition to that. The majority of the members of the Finance Committee toured the current police station and found it to be an unsafe and unhealthy working environment for our police officers and staff.
And we decided to name the rats.
Or can we say something like it was built 50 years
Yeah, how about,
ago?
how about
Oh,
like,
how about-
the need for a new police station is long overdue, is
Is long overdue, and if delayed, will be more expensive to the town.
That's
It'll also-
need for
it'll
a
also-
new facility is long overdue. Does that
Yes.
make sense? The need for a new facility is long overdue,
And if delayed,
and if delayed, will
increase.
will result in a
result-
greater cost.
in greater costs.
The only thing I don't like about that, the long overdue, is we know that's the case, but isn't that the argument, I mean, people who are coming to me say, why didn't we do this 20 years ago? It's long overdue, why is that?
Well, why are you complaining about that now? We didn't. That's,
didn't.
that's,
Right.
we
I
can't go back
understand.
and change
But you
that.
can
All
fix
we
it
can
in the
do is
future.
move forward.
You can fix it in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree, I mean, we weren't here 20 years ago.
No.
No, and, you know, who complained over the years?
So
There-
it's a
you know,
50-year-old
maybe
building,
the
isn't it?
Police, but
Yeah.
nobody else did. We haven't heard this,
Right.
so.
You may want to say something that's a 50-year-old building. Heavily used 50-year-old
It's
building.
older than that, isn't
Well,
it?
that's in the article itself, right?
Is it, Should we mention also the,
No, it's not.
No.
The
Not
date,
in the article.
it's not, it doesn't meet certain,
it's
Criteria?
failing, it's.
It is
it's-
failing,
Health.
right?
the safety, for.
It's
well,
failing its inspections.
Failing its code and inspections, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know that, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
It fails the inspection for the,
I don't
for the
say
cell
for
block.
sure, yes.
Yeah.
The cell
The
block
cell block.
has failed.
Cell block does not meet state standards, maybe?
State police have condemned it, yeah, they won't let us use it.
That's deplorable.
I would get claustrophobic.
I kind of feel like
Other
that's
than
not
that-
really our, like, they're gonna, when they get up to present this
Yes.
article, they're gonna go over all of this. I think this
Recording
is
in
good.
progress.
Yes.
What'd I do? We're good? Okay, I don't know. I kicked something down here. Okay, so we voted unanimously. The majority of the members of the Finance Committee toured the current police station and found it to be an unsafe and unhealthy working environment for our police officers and staff. The need for a facility is long overdue, and if delayed, will result in greater costs.
Yes,
That's fine.
yes.
Okay, let's do a couple more and then
This
call
won't,
it.
this won't have any impact on the current year tax rate.
Yeah.
No, because we're taking loans.
Right.
Let's just do a couple more and then call it a day.
Okay.
All right, Article 5 is the 200 grand for the wastewater Phase 3 recharge evaluation.
As recommended by CIP. Right?
Yes. And by the wastewater. This is,
This is part of the town's wastewater, overall wastewater plan, correct?
yes, it is.
So I think that's part of the reason we
Because-
voted for it,
This
is
is
part.
part of the town's overall wastewater plan.
Yeah, and we may need to go for the exact wording for that, and I can check prior, our prior reports.
Right.
Because there is a specific name for it.
Yes, it is.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yep.
And that's what we want to put in there.
So I'll just put look up
Name,
correct.
legal
Well, This
title.
this article actually supports our continued wastewater program.
Yes, yeah.
Because this,
And this is also for the Mashpee Wakeby? This one? No.
No, number
Number
six.
six?
Number six.
Six is
Number
the al-
six.
This
number
is
six
just the
So-
overall
treatment.
plan.
yeah.
Got it.
Number 6 is the alum treatments in the
So
pond.
that's good enough. I'll look up the language for that, and that will be the sentence. We voted unanimously to recommend approval because this supports the town's overall wastewater, whatever the
Yeah.
name is.
Yeah,
Yep.
and again, no impact.
No impact.
On current.
And I believe that would be the same reasoning for Article 6.
6 and
And-
7.
As an aside, an article.
6 and 7,
I
copy
don't
and
know if it's the
paste.
same
Yeah.
reason for 6.
Well, it's part of the
yeah, it's
plan,
part
but
of
it,
it,
but it's
but-
target, we will want to say they're targeting the
Yes.
Mashpee Wakeby issue.
Yes, they are, that's right, yeah, they're definitely targeting that pond.
For
to
all
help
3 of
bring
them?
that-
No, for 6 and 7.
Yeah,
6 and 7 are specifically targeting
So I'll
Mashpee Wakeby.
say it supports the town's overall wastewater plan, whatever the actual
Right.
name
Yep.
is, specifically in the Mashpee Wakeby area.
Yep.
Copy
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Specifically in the Mashpee Wakeby area.
Or would you just say specifically for the Mashpee Wakeby Pond?
Yes.
Isn't it pretty much
Yeah,
the
it's just
pond?
Well, no, because isn't one of them the boat ramp, or that's further
That
down?
was earlier.
that's earlier.
Different.
That was different. This is the pond. Well, as an aside,
Specifically
6 and 7.
at Mashpee Wakeby Pond or in?
Treatment for Mashpee Wakeby Pond in number 6.
for the
and then in
Mashpee
number
Wakeby
7,
Pond, you know,
paying for cost and design for the engineering of Mashpee Wakeby
So two very different things.
cluster
Yeah.
water.
So one is talking about the chemical, the alum treatment they're going to make to help capture those pollutants,
Yep,
right? The other one is talking about exploring design engineering for a cluster.
facility.
A clustered
Right.
facility there.
Yeah.
Facilities, so
Yeah.
those are different.
Because when you start thinking
but
about.
I think it's fine if we just dumb it down to this is part of our overall, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
wastewater plan, specifically
It
in
definitely is
the
part of that.
Mashpee Wakeby
Absolutely.
Pond
Yes,
area.
absolutely.
Yep, that's good.
Cleaning up the ponds is a priority for sure, as well.
Copy 6, so we'll do 8,
8 and 9 should be pretty close to
easy
the
peasy.
same thing.
Yeah,
Because it's,
8 is the school.
right, it's the Cape Cod Regional
Regional.
Technical.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility to cover the cost of our students going there.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what did we decide on number 7?
8, no, we're on 8.
5, 6, and 7 are all essentially going to be the same thing, but 6
Right.
and 7 will have added
Gotcha.
specifically in the Mashpee Wakeby Pond
Right, okay.
area.
Yeah.
Okay, 8. So we voted unanimously because this is our responsibility to pay for the cost of Mashpee students
Attending,
who attend
okay,
Upper Cape.
Regional school,
Cape
yeah,
Cod
Cape Cod Regional
Cape Cod
Tech.
Regional School.
High School, Cape Cod Regional Tech High.
No impact, and no impact on 5, 6, 7, correct?
5, 6, 7, no impact on the current tax rate now.
Yeah.
But 8 does.
Yes,
8 does.
yeah. 8 and 9 both do.
And that's all we say for that is this article will impact the current year tax
Yeah.
rate?
On Article 8, Jeff?
Yeah.
As an aside, the water treatment plant that we're doing has no phosphorus removal capability, which is a big deal.
Well, that's one of the reasons I think they're thinking about that clustered facility, Richard, up in Mashpee
9.
Wakeby.
No, that's different than.
9 is pretty similar.
Same.
It's that
I'm
it's
talking about the plant treatment
our,
itself.
our share of the construction cost of the new school.
Because this is the town's share of the construction
School did for the Cape,
costs
yeah.
of CCRT.
yeah.
Right.
No impact. Will impact.
Will impact.
Yes, will.
That was number 9?
Yep. All right, last one, because I'm so done. Article 10.
We all did this, okay.
Yeah, we just voted on this tonight because we got the number.
Yep.
We're gonna just, because this will, the
Reimbursement,
these funds will be 100% reimbursed
right.
by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
That's always a good reason to vote for something.
Yeah.
That's a really good reason.
No impact?
Yeah, right. no
Good impact.
Okay. I feel like we got a great start. We did 20 of them.
Did.
We can do the other 16, 17. How many are there total now?
Now there's
30.
a total of
Okay, so we'll
30
do
and
the
10,
other,
40 altogether, so we got through half of them.
we'll do the other 20 at a later date. So reminder, what time do we start next week?
5 o'clock.
5 PM. It's our public hearing. What, is there a script that
Yes, there is, that Darlene will get to read.
That's right, I had to do that last year.
It's read by the clerk.
And they'll send it to me,
Yes, they should.
okay?
It's
And
basically whatever ends up getting printed in the,
but then after
Paper.
she reads that and the public hearing begins, what do I say?
when it's all over, we'll take a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
But what do I say after she's done reading her thing? Then I say, okay, now we're gonna discuss the budget for public comment?
I believe you turn it over to Rodney, who makes a presentation. And then if there's, yes, it's his official presentation of the budget at public hearing. And then there's an opportunity,
Great.
if there's any comment.
I was like panicking, what do I say?
No, you turn it over to Rodney.
And he does
He
the
does a
public hearing.
presentation, then you see if there's any comment,
Yep,
and give it a few minutes. If there's nothing, look for a motion to adjourn the public hearing. And then we once we vote on that, then we continue
And
the
we
rest of the meeting.
continue on our own business.
okay.
Yep. And
Get ready.
You may need to check a prior agenda when we've done this to see how it fits in the agenda. where it fits in? Because I believe that's.
She's having it start at 5:05.
Right.
Which
Which
means
will-
that we start with, the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence.
Yeah,
And
right.
then,
Then I have to speak.
Trying to
she
think.
said
what-
she would send it to me.
Okay,
So I
okay.
assume, I have to have the agendas in by Tuesday. I assume that between now and then I'll receive something from somebody.
Yeah.
So next week, I will ask for the planning board, but I believe that's the only other one that we have not taken action on as of now. And if you would be so kind as to update this.
Yes, no problem.
I will let them know what our votes were tonight.
Yep.
Wish
Yeah.
me luck with
This won't
whatever
take-
this guy gives me for minutes. And so next week, we only have an hour and a half, but we also don't have much voting to do.
Right.
So
It's
assuming
ju-
that
it's just
the,
it should be
assuming that the
just-
public hearing can go quickly, we should be able to get through.
Yeah, really,
So
it
we're
it
in
should.
good shape.
Well
So
done,
the only thing for old business will be the planning board.
Yep.
Um,
And snow and
Unless you-
ice, I'll put snow and ice under, snow and ice should be old business. She said she would have that.
True.
Yeah, it should
True.
be.
So there's that. Reviewing of the statements we did right now
Yeah.
would be under old business.
Okay.
Then we can deal with if they put any new articles on, or then we can go into our new explanations for the rest of them.
Yep. Very good.
And hopefully, be close to getting charts and everything ready. I don't know if they'll be ready next week or not, but,
Okay.
and I will get you the information I need from Dawn.
Yes.
To
And I'll
continue working
just,
on.
do you want to just,
No, it's better follow the chain of command.
okay. And I don't go directly to Dawn anyway. I go
no.
through Rodney and
Right,
Wayne.
right. I would just CC her on the email
Okay.
to Rodney.
Jeffrey, one thing, when you make up your pie charts, okay, I remember, I think it was last year or the year before, it says this is total spending, and you have the different divides, and then you take a look at the amount of money coming in.
That's a separate table.
It's a separate table, and the two do not compare.
Well, with the separate table shows it balancing out.
Yeah, yeah, but the pie charts didn't.
No, the
wouldn't
pie,
say I
pie
feel
chart
like
is
that
just
myself.
expensive, the pie chart is just revenue.
Yeah,
Then you need the separate table.
But for the layman,
That's how I
you need to say that.
The separate table will show, these are what the revenues are, these are what the expenses are, and where the difference is.
And where the differences are, because
Yes.
that was not in, like, 2
I'm
years ago.
doing the
No.
best I know how to do.
Motion to adjourn?
It's a confusing item, at least,
Did you make a motion to
did.
adjourn?
So we have a-
second it.
Any discussion?
no.
Hearing none, passed by unanimous consent.